all good, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lawrence Garvey. I'm chairman of the Rockland County Republican Committee, and we're here today with State Chairman Nick Langworthy and other elected officials and candidates here in Rockland County to discuss and hopefully convince everyone to vote no on these propositions this year. As we all know, the Democrats have been, for the past number of years, doing everything they can to stuff the ballot box with their voters, making it essentially making fraud entirely more possible, sending out ballots that cannot be confirmed, allowing people to vote without identification, and let's be honest, in today's day and age, you can't get anything done without identification, including walking to a restaurant in New York City without your proof of vaccination card. But when it comes to voting, the Democrats think that's all good. So again, we're here, Nick Langworthy and his team are going around the state trying to convince people county by county to vote no on these propositions. And with that, I'm going to give you Nick Langworthy, the chairman of the New York State Republican Committee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. It's great to be back here in Rockland County. And we're traveling the whole entirety of the state to bring awareness to the important elections that are on the back of the ballot. You know, and being here with Chairman Garvey, you can see he's in the zone. You know, this is a local election. We have so many, important offices on the ballot, from county executive, on down to your town offices and your town boards. And this is critical that we get every last voter out, because, we're in this natural hangover where you come off a big presidential election where every American is talking about politics. It's natural for there to be fall off, but we can't have apathy, reign here. We need to get every last person out to the polls. The polls are open right now with early voting. People have requested absentee ballots, and the election will be upon us in just a few short days. And while it's a critical local election year, flipping that ballot over, it's a national question before us, because the questions and the propositions that have been put forward by the supermajorities of liberal Democrats that run this state, they'll be devastating to the way we execute our elections. And they're a full assault on the integrity and the honesty of our elections. So we're traveling around the state to highlight what exactly is on the back of the ballot. And Proposition 1 is absolutely inexcusable. In 2014, a bipartisan group of state legislators put a referendum on the ballot. The Republicans ran the Senate, the Democrats ran the Assembly, and Andrew Cuomo was governor. And they said they listened to the people who wanted the politicians out of redistricting. And the creation of the Independent Redistricting Commission passed a referendum in 2014, overwhelmingly. People of all affiliations came out to vote and support an independent way to look at these districts. So this Proposition 1 would absolutely strip the independents from the Independent Redistricting Commission, because they now have supermajorities in both houses. They insist on taking the will of the people away and taking the power back into the darkness of the back rooms in Albany. That's where they want to cut the lines. They don't want to do it in the light of day. There are public hearings literally going on right now, this week, around the state. There's maps on the table. The Independent Redistricting Commission is doing its work. Let them finish their work. If this proposition passes, it shuts down and it restarts, and they have 30 days under these new rules to get the job done. Ladies and gentlemen, this is poison pill. This is in place so that they can't finish their job, and the majorities, the supermajorities in the Senate and the Assembly, will be the ones doing the map making for our congressional districts, for our Assembly districts, and their Senate districts. And they will not be looking for balance. They will not be looking for honesty. They will not be looking for integrity. They're looking for their own self-preservation. So you need to vote no first on Proposition 1. The other things that are included here, we have same-day voter registration. That's Proposition 3. So no longer would you have a cutoff where we can have people register to vote, but there's time to verify if they actually are who they say that they are. Now, with same-day voter registration, a bus can pull up to a polling place here in Rockland County from God knows where in New York State, and people come out and say, I live at 123 Main Street. I'm registering to vote there. And you could have 50 new voters come out of that bus. And there's nothing we can do about it because we don't have voter ID in this state. Democrats will not give us an up or down vote on voter identification. You know, as the chairman said, you can't even go into a restaurant in New York City without flashing your photo ID at this point. Photo ID is part of our lives. It is not racist. It is the time-honored principle of be who you say that you are. It's your credential. And you should have to have it to vote. But they won't let it happen because it doesn't, you know, give them an unfair advantage like they want so desperately in this state right now. And same-day voter registration is exactly the reason that's on the ballot this year is so they can go and take that in the name of good government. And third is the expansion of mail-in voting. And a lot of the angst that comes from the 2020 election and people having concerns about the future or the past elections is all because of the expansion of mail-in voting. And that took place because in the name of COVID-19. Blue state governors took full advantage to an extreme degree to ramp up mail-in voting. We don't need to ramp up mail-in voting now. We have plenty of opportunities to vote. I've never met a New Yorker that said, I'd really like to vote, but I can't. I can't. There's polls are open for 10 full days before election day. We have, you know, the thing that worked for 200 years, which is you go on election day and you actually vote, God forbid. Or we do have purposeful absentee voting, which is honest. And the application process is what keeps that honest. You fill it out, you say why you need an absentee vote, and you have a signature verification. If that goes flying out the window and everyone's entitled to an absentee vote, the next thing you'll have is the elimination of the application. And they'll just be handing out raw ballots. And that's exactly why a lot of people have angst about the outcome of the 2020 elections, because there was a ramp up in mail-in voting with no security. This is an assault on voter integrity. This is an assault on the sanctity and the honesty of our elections. So I'm traveling around the state to do this, to support our Republican team. And you need to get out and you need to vote, you know, from Ed Day right on down, you know, to every other Republican running this year. We are the team that backs the blue. We are the team in the elected officials that support our law enforcement. You know, Democrats are the party of bail reform in letting, you know, basically everyone out of jail. That is on the ballot this year. Make no mistake. The concept of criminal justice in keeping our community safe, that is the key issue and why you need to get out and vote Republican this year. But the back of this ballot is critical. So we're asking people to come on out, make sure to vote, and just say no to these terrible propositions as they're written. They are an assault on our democracy. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over to the chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much, Chairman Langworthy. Just to reiterate what the chairman was saying, Mike Lawler's been in Albany, Assemblyman Mike Lawler's been in Albany this entire session fighting back over the redistricting process and making sure that we are adequately represented. This ballot initiative will do such damage to Mike's efforts and our efforts here in Rockland County to have fair representation. Ed Day, who I'm going to bring up in a minute, has been doing truly yeoman's work for his entire tenure here in voter integrity. Not trying to keep anyone from voting, but to make sure that the votes that are cast here in Rockland County are legitimate votes, and this will do so much to undo all the good work that Ed's done. So with that, I'm going to bring up County Executive Ed Day to say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm not going to repeat much of what the chairman, either chairman, has said, because it's true. There's no getting around it. But there's a saying: absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I think Proposition 1 is a classic case of that. They're just basically taking democracy away. They don't want the people to be involved intimately as to what's going on. They want to make their own rules. The supermajority in Albany is killing us. What I would suggest to these legislators in Albany, if they really want to get some work done, first off, what they can do is they can change the bail reform. They can give us true justice reform, not what they've given us so far. New York City and other areas are getting killed right now for people being released on bail. There are drugstores that are closing now across this country because there's no prosecutions for shoplifting. This is absolute, utter madness that's going on. And we're doing our best to make sure this doesn't visit upon us here in Rockland County. But we feel like we're up against the wave. So what I would say to the legislators, let's start with this. Start by repealing congestion pricing. It's just a money grab. It's a tax upon Rockland County and west of the Hudson. And how about this? How about putting tolls on east on the east side bridges. They're free bridges. So people have an ability to take a train, get a free ride in their car to come across the river. It's ridiculous. It's utter madness. Start by also sending a resolution to the governor demanding the parole board be fired, each and every one of them, for releasing the Brinks robbers, murderers, thugs, anarchists who have killed people here in Rockland County, our brave law enforcement personnel, and they're all getting released by clemency. It's just utter, utter madness we're seeing here right now. So, and finally, I would demand that maybe Governor Hochul could get her Democrats to introduce legislation renaming the Tappan Zee Bridge. What's not known by many people is that the bridge already had a new name. It was passed in the Senate, and the new name was Purple Heart Memorial Bridge. And what happened, the dead of night, the former governor convinced them to change that vote and rename the bridge after his father. It doesn't take much. It's the right thing to do. If you really want to see some legitimate action done by a legislature, you've got the supermajority, do the right thing and put the historic name of the Tappan Zee Bridge back where it belongs. Thank you.
Thank you, County Executive. We're going to wrap up. I'd like to thank Rich Girton, who's running for the 9th Judicial District here in Rockland and 4 other counties for coming. Joe Ryder, our Clarkstown Town Chairman. We already saw and mentioned Mike Lawler, but thank you for coming. Bob Romanowski, our State Committee person. Frank Borelli, Clarkstown Town Supervisor. And Leslie Kahn, candidate for Clarkstown Judge. I think I covered everyone. Thank you all very much and have a great day.
Thank you.